We watched videos on models of pedagogy, dimensions of pedagogy, analyzing didactic pedagogy, pedagogy today, and didactic pedagogy as felt subjectively. Under models of pedagogy, we had the three approaches: didactic pedagogy, which is traditional, routine, consumption, memory test. It's repetitive. Authentic pedagogy is learner-centered, and then reflective and transformative pedagogy is problem-solving, designing, and engaging. Then we went to the dimensions. There were 8 of them: architectonic, discursive, intersubjective, socioculture, preparatory, epistemological, pedagogical, and moral. And the architectonic was the space, shapes what happens in it. Discursive, what happens in that space. Intersubjective, what kind of power between the teachers and the learners, who controls it. Socioculture, who's present, what are they allowed and not allowed to express. Preparatory, who's in control of the space. Epistemological, ways of knowing the world, impact on the outcome. It's kind of like research. Pedagogical, what instructional choices are made. And moral, what is the underlying mission or purpose. Under preparatory, that was more of, that discussed the my classroom, ownership, basically. And for the student, it was my work. They would, not let anybody cheat off of them. That was their stuff. Epistemological, or what the conditions of knowing, making their facts. The theorems are operationalizes, and pedagogical is transmit knowledge from teacher to student. So as a teacher, you would have an idea of what you were going to teach, and then you take that and you teach it. You use the textbook, or you use a blackboard, or you use the computer, and you're going to teach it, and then you're going to test the student to make sure that they understand what you taught them. And then the moral is, you're disciplined, you're going to show up on time, you're going to give the correct answers, and you're going to remember facts. Then we went to didactic pedagogy of today, and they talked about the teaching machine. Back then it was like an adding machine or something, and it would give the students correct, or tell the students whether or not they got the correct answer, I'm guessing. Today's world, I think of when a child goes to do their permit test for their driver's license. History is not a straight line. There is modern didactic pedagogy. And then didactic pedagogy is spelled subjectively. Talked about some of the works in the past. Dickens had a classic teacher that saw students as empty vessels. Winston Churchill never understood why he was taught Latin when he wanted to be an English writer. Then the Yan Puli had written a book about the corporal punishment in China that was handed out if students didn't memorize what they were required to memorize. I'm guessing that they got paddled a lot. And Charles Darwin, he attended a school that taught Latin and Greek, and he memorized it for school and then forgot it shortly after. He absolutely couldn't stand it. And he would go, when he would go home, he would be outside of school, and he learned about the world around him. In other words, he observed it, and he was like, oh, this is what's going on. Uh, Audre Lorde was an African American who lived in New York, and her mother had taught her how to write with a pencil, and she went to school and they gave her a crayon instead because I'm guessing that they thought she wasn't intelligent enough to use a regular pencil.